Hi everyone. So this week's this week's Torah portion is Tetzaveh, and in it the Jewish people are commanded to bring a pure olive oil to light a Neil Tamid, a lamp or a candle that will be constantly lit or continuously lit in the sanctuary. And the Sfat Emet, the Hasidic commentary on the Parsha, Rabbi Yehuda Aryeh Leib Alter, he talks about how Tetzaveh, the word of you should command them to bring this light. He talks about how there's a hint here to the idea that the mitzvot, the commandments, they themselves are lights that make darkness go away, that make a kind of spiritual darkness go away. So in order to dispel darkness, all you need is to turn on a light. And so the mitzvot, the commandments, are lights that can be turned on to dispel darkness. And then he goes on to say that actually it's this light is or these commandments are actually it's the Jewish people themselves by observing the commandments, by doing the commandments. The Jewish people themselves make the mitzvot, the lights of the mitzvot, come into being. They themselves become the lights, or the light comes in to a person's soul, into a person's consciousness, and the person brings the mitzvah into being. There's a term lekayem mitzvah, which can be understood as meaning to observe a commandment, to do a commandment, but also lekayem means to. It's from the word kiyum, existence. It's like bringing it into existence. It's making it real, making it exist in the world. He also brings the phrase "v'asitem otam," and you should do them, which is also about the commandments. You should do them. There's a way of understanding that phrase as we can make the commandments come into being, meaning the lights that the commandments are. The lights are lights that we actually bring into being in and with ourselves when we do the commandments. And that's what's being hinted at in the first verse of this parsha, that the verse says v'tetzaveh, that the Jewish people, tetzaveh et bnei Israel, that the Jewish people should be commanded to take this pure olive oil for lighting the candles that should be continuously lit, the Ner Tamid. So all this is a hint to this lighting of the lights that are within us, that are us, when we do the commandments, which really, by doing the commandments, we're bringing them into being, we're making them exist in this world, and we're bringing in the lights that they are to this world. So this is kind of mysterious. What does it mean to create or bring into being this light that the commandments are? We might wonder in general how to understand the concept of spiritual light. We think about physical light. It's what allows us to see the physical reality. There are all these objects and the reality around us that we can't see when it's dark. And when it's light physically, then we can see, and we can see at a distance. It allows us to not only, let's say, touch or what's close to us, or hear, which gives us only a certain kind of information. It allows us to see what's around us and to see at a distance on the physical plane. And so a kind of spiritual light, I want to suggest that it allows us to see inward, beyond the external manifestation of things. There's a way of relating to the world where if we only look at the events and objects in the world, and we look at that and we think that that's it, that's the world, then that's like looking at the external layer of something and thinking that that's all there is. Or it's like looking at the behavior of a person and thinking that that's all there is. There's just the behavior. There's just what's outwardly manifest. But when we recognize that actually there's a person with experiences and needs and feelings and desires who's underneath the behavior, and any behavior we see is actually a manifestation of some kind of inner state, some kind of inner experience, inner intention, inner desire, inner need. A person who has all these things going on the inside, whose behavior is just the most outward manifestation of their inner state. And similarly with the world, anything that has an outside and an inside. The outside is just one layer that's affected and by and maybe even determined by the inside. And so too with the world, it can be seen as analogous to the person. There is an idea that the person is an olam katan, a small world, and the world is like an adam gadol, a big person. The person is a microcosm of the world, and the world is a macrocosm of the person. So in the world also there are the events and the objects and the things that we see on a kind of outer plane. And if we think that that's what the world is, that's what reality is, then we're making a mistake that's just like, it's analogous to thinking that the behavior of a person is all there is to the person. That's it. And if we just try to change a person's behavior, let's say if we don't like something about the way a person behaves, if we just try to change a person's behavior without recognizing that it's actually a manifestation of an inner state, of an experience, of an intention, of a desire, of a person and their inner life, then usually we're not going to get very far, and we're not really going to be able to get to the core of things. And so similarly, if we relate to the world and the events that happen in our lives and the things that we see around us as just as that's all it is, that's what it is, this is reality, and we try to change what we don't like, we run into a lot of frustration and dead ends, and we find that we don't get very far just trying to change things that we don't like. Maybe we succeed in changing one thing, but then some other thing pops up that we don't like in the same way, and so we end up constantly trying to change something about the world or about our own lives. But if we see the external world, everything that happens, everything, the objects and the events that we see in the outer physical world, if we see them as a manifestation of something inner, of a kind of inner spiritual reality, spiritual in the sense that it's inner, that's I think is a way of understanding what it means for something to be spiritual rather than physical. It's the inner nature of things that are outer, and physical is the outer. So if we see the outer events that are visible to us on a physical plane as a manifestation of something inner, of a kind of inner state of the world, an inner state of reality, then we can relate to it differently, and we can think about how we might tap into that inner state, how we might understand what's going on there that could be bringing about the things in our outer experience, or how it relates to us, how it relates to our own inner states. And so the light, I think the kind of light that the mitzvot, the commandments, bring into the world, the kind of light that we bring into the world by doing the commandments, is a kind of light that can let us see inside. Usually, if we just kind of start out looking at the outer world, we might not be able to see inside. We only see what's outside. But actually, we can see what's inside. We have a way of, we have a different kind of a sense, not a physical sense, but a kind of inner sense, a kind of intuitive or inner sense for what's inside. But sometimes it can get distorted and things can go dark, and we forget that there is even an inside at all. And so the light of the commandments, or this kind of spiritual light in general that we want to bring into the world, that we want to light ourselves up with and light the world up with, is a light that allows us to see inward. It allows us to see past the events and objects of the world into something, a deeper reality that is just being manifested in this outer way, like seeing past a person's behavior into their inner state, into the desires, into the feelings, the needs that manifested themselves in the particular way that the person behaved. So here, a kind of spiritual light is what lets us see inside, into ourselves, more deeply into ourselves, and also more deeply into reality and into what could be going on beneath the surface that is manifesting itself in the ways that we see. So there's a lot more to think about there about what that means. Like, what does that inner reality look like? But I think the analogy with the person, the person on the inside, and the behavior on the outside can help us see the world in a new light, and that the commandments that we do, that we bring into being, these kind of candles, lights that we bring into being by doing the commandments, they can help us see inward, into ourselves and into reality, and that can help us see whatever it is that we're meant to see about the inner nature of things, and how that is reflected on the outer plane. So I wish us all a deeper vision to the inside of things, and so that we see how to relate to things more deeply, and so that we can, instead of trying to change what's on the outside because we don't like it or because it's hard for us, see it as a manifestation of something deeper, whatever that something deeper might be, perhaps inside of us, or kind of spiritual reality that we're meant to tap into, and that can bring vision and insight about how to relate to the outer world as well.